Welcome to a new live broadcast. It's the beginning of a new week and I have got a very special video for you. Now, before I talk to you about my preparation for the iPhone 10, I'm going to wait until we've got at least 20, maybe 30 people watching the live broadcast, and you're going to have to take this one a little bit tongue-in-cheek because this is my vision of what the iPhone 10 is going to look like. Now, before we get into my preparations for the iPhone 10, I want to say a big hello and a big welcome to everyone who's tuned in. Thank you very much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Hello to Chris, to Nanim, and also to Paul Welford. Thank you very much. Very quick in on the stream there. It's been a very exciting weekend as well. I've been doing a lot of preparations, not only for the iPhone 10, but also for my sort of coverage in this video of how I've been preparing. Now, I will give you a little bit of a sneak peek. Behind me here, I have got some packs with cases in. I have also got some boxes with cases in, and these are all for the iPhone 10. Now, I don't personally think that I'm going to like the iPhone 10 myself, but I was determined to get one in, determined to cover it all for you on the channel. And I did a previous live broadcast just after the pre-orders went live, and that was such great fun that I will definitely be sort of giving it a fair chance anyway. It's the notch that bothers me, it really is. And that brings me on to my preparations for the iPhone 10. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for my preparations? Let me see you in the chat. Let me know you're ready for how I see the vision for the iPhone 10, and also how I see the vision for future Apple devices as well. So I'm just going to duck off camera. Drum roll, please. Give me the drum roll. This is my vision for the iPhone 10. This is me preparing for how I'm going to see that screen. Now, it's not too bad, and I'm thinking about the future of Apple devices as well. So when I'm looking here at my MacBook Pro, which is just out of shot, I can actually see most of the screen. There is about 2 to 3% of the notch on the new MacBook Pro actually missing. And over here, although this isn't an Apple product, I'm going to envisage that this is an iMac. And yes, I can definitely see most of the screen, but my worry is for the future of the iPad and the iPad Pro. Now, I've got my iPad Pro here, and if I position it just in the right position, I can sort of get an idea of what the next generation iPad and iPad Pro might look like. It's not that great. It does worry me a great deal. Let me see if I can give you a view of what the next iPad may well look like. So I'm not sure if you're seeing this, but let me just bring the iPad up a little bit closer. This may well be what the next iPad looks like. Yeah, I know, not a very scientific experiment, but this is the thing that concerns me about the iPhone 10 as well. I've got my iPhone 7 Plus here, and if I line up that notch, I can see what I'm in for at the end of this week. The notch just won't go away. It is a problem. It is a problem. But I want to improve my vision. Enough of this joking around. I want to get back to normal vision and remove my iPhone 10 vision. And let's put some Android vision on instead. Or previous generations of Apple products. So as we all know, none of the previous iPhones, and indeed no Android phones, with the exception of the Essential phone, which has a very small notch, but none of them have got this notch at the top, and this intrusion does concern me a lot. I know I was joking there, you know, just a bit of fun for you all, but it does concern me as to how developers are going to have to work around that notch. And I've mentioned it in previous videos as well, and only time will tell. Hopefully they will be able to make it disappear. I saw a really interesting video the other day from, I think it's Tailosive Tech, and he made a really good point, a very good point, even though I've made that really bad joke about the notch. But he made the point that if software developers actually develop their software so that when the notch is an intrusion, they make the top area, so if you imagine there's a notch here, actually let me get that notch off of my glasses and stick it on here. So again, a bad Blue Peter demonstration. Here's one I made earlier. But if you imagine this notch at the top, if software developers actually put black on either side of the notch, then it could sort of disappear. So if they do it correctly, if they implement it correctly, and I'm all for giving technology a fair chance, but if they do this so that the notch disappears, and when you rotate your phone round, perhaps the notch disappears here as well, just so you've got an option. Or if indeed they opened up the APIs in iOS so that we could have launchers that did that for us, then it could well solve the problem. It could disappear into the user interface. The early demonstrations I saw were where things were scrolling around and sort of jutting around the notch. That is what I didn't like. It was a very, very poor way of showing it, but it's some of the issues that developers will have going forwards. So anyway, before I move on to showing you this product here, which I do want to talk about, I've also got something lined up a little bit later on in this broadcast, something I've actually been asked to do on many, many occasions, and I'll come on to that sort of latter part of this particular broadcast. But let's have a look in the chat and see what questions we have got. So we have got hi or good morning, Dave, from Firenp50. Good morning from New York. I spent 3 years living in New York and I do miss it. It was an amazing time I had. That was back in 1996. Wow, just before 96 actually. Bazza, I'm ready, Dave. And you were loving it. Lots of drum rolls. And Shenkai says, are you receiving the iPhone 10 today? No, it is due on the 3rd. The earliest deliveries are the 3rd, which is this Friday. This Friday coming for the iPhone 10 deliveries, and that's when it's going to be available in store as well. Bazza wants to know, I like them, where can I buy? Those glasses I could probably sell you for about £1,000. They're available exclusively from me, and I have trademarked it, so please don't take my idea there and my design. Stephen Huxtable says, big isn't it? That's what she said. In all fairness, it probably wasn't a scientific size of the notch. It looked very, very big on my iPad Pro though. This is a 10.5 inch iPad Pro, and that notch was definitely getting in the way. And I saw somebody do a mock-up of what they envisaged the next iPad Pro to look like, and it did have the notch on there. And I just hope, I really do hope that Apple do not go down that route. David James says, was the notch a design choice by Apple? No, I don't think it was a design choice. I think it was a delivering the technology that we want to give you choice, and not delaying it or not looking for a better solution. They wanted to give us that Face ID camera and all of the sensors across the top, and they could not find a way of putting it behind the display. So they took the next route probably, which was just to give us that notch. I don't think it was ideal at all. I think it was a very, very rushed decision, put it that way. I'd love to be a fly on the wall. I really would. In these meetings at Apple, I would love to hear how they make these final decisions about design. They've probably got numerous designs that they're looking at. David Branner says, have you seen the Samsung S9 design? Same kind of notch. Really? I have not seen that. I would love to see it. I really would. Bazza, Dave, you have the iPhone because I cannot face ditching that crucial part of my Apple family and become an Androidian. I am testing Android devices at the moment. I am looking to make that switch. Most definitely. Fitzroy Adams, don't you think Face ID will be more inconvenient than Touch ID, 3 steps versus 1 step to unlock the device. I tend to agree, but again, only time will tell. Only time will tell. Darren Gator, hello to you, Darren, long-time viewer. I've made it to your broadcast. Welcome, welcome. I'm really glad that you managed to tune in live to the broadcast as it happens. Antonio Scott, hello from Savannah. Love your channel. Thank you very, very much. Stephen Huxtable, 4 years in the making, so not rushed at all. Wow. That is really interesting to hear. If they had 4 years to give us that sort of integration, then there's something really, really wrong in their design studios. Anthony Kelly, hi Dave. Apple used to be innovative. Now with this notch, as you described, it is effectively putting the horse before the cart. Very, very true. And while we're talking about carts or shopping carts, don't forget you have got that choice. And what I'm referring to is we've got the iPhone 10, which is due for deliveries on the first batch on November the 3rd. But during that checkout process or that shopping experience on the Apple Store online, or indeed in their physical stores as well, you have got that choice. You can get more or less the same experience minus the notch by going for an iPhone 8 or 8 Plus. The camera's pretty much the same. The performance, identical as far as I know. The screen technology, different. It's not OLED on the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. So you have got that choice. If you want to stick with the previous design, with the regular shaped screen with no intrusion, you have got that choice. Some people want the latest and greatest, and I don't blame them. I've been in that camp for a long, long time, and I always upgraded my iPhone, and this year is the first year that I haven't looked to actually upgrade my iPhone. I'm actually getting the iPhone 10 in purely to cover on the channel. The unexpected, what model of iPhone 10 have you ordered and what size capacities are available? You can get either 64GB or 256, or was it 128? I should really know this. You can either get 64, I'm sure it was 64, or 256. And I had a 256GB already favorited in my account, and I did that for speed through the checkout process, and also because I thought due to the price point it would be the least popular capacity. So that's what I've got coming in, a space grey 256. And as Stephen Huxtable says, and very rightly so, you don't have to buy it. You do not have to upgrade and buy a new smartphone, whether it be an Apple device or a device in the Android camp from another manufacturer. You do not have to upgrade every single year. Good afternoon to Russ. Hello Russ, thanks for tuning in. Antonio Scott says, really interested in switching to the Note 8 as well. What would make you make the switch? What is the one thing that's the deal breaker for you? It's all about the user experience, and my user experience so far on my Note 8, which I don't have in the editing room at the moment, but my experience so far has been very, very good indeed, with very minimal issues, a few issues just finding good apps for video recording and video editing as well, and then a few little issues just with the way I'm transitioning across to how notifications work. Don't like the Gmail app on the Note 8 or the Samsung's own email app, so I'm looking for an alternative to that, but everything else is pretty good. The big selling point for me on excuse me, on my smart devices is indeed the camera. That's very, very important to me. So that is one of the priorities to me, is good camera performance really, and a good user experience overall. In a few broadcasts back I mentioned about Ricola sweets, and a lot of people, I say a lot, about half a dozen people actually contacted me afterwards and said, was I sponsored by Ricola? And I'm not. It's just a sweet I found that's tasty, kind to the teeth, natural ingredients as well in here. There's sort of herbs in here as well, natural honey, and they just keep my throat from drying whilst I'm doing the live broadcasts. And they taste good as well. Speedy Tweedy123. Hi Dave, love the channel, always keep an eye on it as I deal with mass mobile deployment in my work. Currently looking at Android from Windows. What do you think? Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, Windows Phone is very lacking in support. Microsoft have dropped it, and app development was bad when it was sort of at its prime. The selection of apps was never great, so definitely look at making that switch. If you're deploying them in your work, then look at security, and dare I say it, one of the most secure, in my opinion, Android phones is those that BlackBerry are making, and they've got the new BlackBerry Motion coming out, so maybe that could be an option. I know Samsung have their Knox security on their smartphones, but certainly I would maybe consider BlackBerry. That may well be an option, especially if you're doing them in larger quantities. Harry K, Dave, have you got the Pixel 2 back again yet? I have not yet. Reviewers on YouTube are starting to turn to say that the phone has a great camera. It definitely did have a great camera. I had issues with mine with some faults. I'm still waiting for that to be sorted out. Chris Watson, I've chosen the Pixel 2 XL mainly due to the camera. I wouldn't want to go Samsung Note 8 because it's not pure Android. Yeah, very true. Very, very true. You're getting an almost stock Android experience with the Pixel 2 XL. Only thing that worries me with the 2 XL is the lackluster screen. So that's it for the questions at the moment. I think we're going to move on and take a look at this product here. I was very kindly sent this out by Roku, and this is their latest Streaming Stick Plus. This is what the product packaging looks like. Very, very cool packaging, and it supports HD and 4K and HDR, and across the bottom there you can see the range of services that it also supports as well. Now, I really like Amazon TV, but this looks very good because it supports Amazon Video as well, which is what I watch most of my movies on. We've also got Netflix, YouTube, TuneIn, Happy Kids TV, Google Play, which is really good to see on here, Yup TV, Now TV, which was actually lacking on my Sony Bravia TV, all four, Amazon Video as I mentioned earlier, BBC iPlayer, Sky News, ITV Player, Demand 5 and TV Player on here as well. It's got HDMI on it, and it's very, very compact. I'll show you the actual product in a short while, but I think that something like this is a really good option. And what makes this really nice during my testing is that I found that you've also got a really nice app as well. So there is an app available on iOS and Android that sort of complement the product itself. Now, before I show you the actual stick, which is small, I'll show you the little remote control. And this has got sort of shortcut buttons for some of the services. Sadly, it does not have a shortcut button for Amazon TV on here, so that's, or Amazon Video, so that's a little bit of a shame. I wonder how much these services had to pay to get the shortcut button on there. So, because I think previous remotes just had maybe Netflix and one other. Surprised that Google isn't on there. I couldn't find a way of remapping these, which would be pretty pointless because it would have the wrong picture on anyway, but it would have been nice to maybe have these just coloured and be able to actually map your own TV service. That's what I would have liked to have seen. But it's a really nice remote and it works extremely well, really good as well. What I also like on here is we've got volume up and down on the side, so a nice little remote that comes with this. And look at the size of the stick. This is the size of the stick, so it's got HDMI built in. Let me just hold that up nice and close for you so you can get a look at the actual Roku stick as well. So HDMI on one end, and then we've got USB on this end, and then we've got a button on this side here. And the lighting is so poor in here, I think that's just reset. But a really compact streaming stick. And I can remember having the Amazon Fire TV stick, which was a lot larger than this, but this is so small and lightweight that you can plug this directly into the HDMI, or if you need to, you can use like an extension cable as well. little LED on the side, and it just does all of those services very well. And I find it amazing how they can pack all of this technology into such a small product. I find it very, very cool that we get such small products now. Let me show you this in comparison to something. What can I grab? Let's just grab my iPhone 7 Plus. Most people know what size a 7 Plus is. Look at the size of it compared to that. It's just like a slightly larger USB flash drive size. So very, very cool. And I found that the performance, switching between channels, and the user interface was very pleasant, very fast performance, and just a great option, a very, very affordable option. And the jump up, if you've got a 4K TV, the jump up in resolution, I really appreciated this as well. My TV, which is a Sony Bravia, does a really good job of actually upscaling HD content, but it was noticeable that when you've got native 4K content going through this streaming stick, you did get a little bit more clarity, a little bit more detail. So not everyone can see that detail, but I'm really quite good at seeing it now. I can notice the difference, and I think that's as the broadcasts get better as well. So a really good option. So this is the Roku Streaming Stick Plus. Now when this broadcast is finished, I will leave a link to that product down in the video description. So we have got lots more questions coming, as well as some sort of dubious comments coming in. So keep it clean, guys. Insanity is sanity. Dave, what phone would you recommend for the best camera used for vlogging and making short films? Well, I would have seen the Pixel said the Pixel 2 or Pixel 2 XL, but I would no longer say that, purely because the audio capture on those devices isn't the best. When I did my Pixel 2 video in the editing room, the audio was okay, but on reviewing it back, it wasn't the best audio capture. I would say if you really are going to capture videos, especially vlogs on your smartphone, then consider getting an external mic. I don't think I've got one to hand, but the Rode SmartLav Plus is a very, very good option. It allows you to get really good quality audio alongside smartphone footage. With regards to video quality, the actual visual aspect, the Pixel 2 was really good. I did a very, very short video with some hands-on time with the Pixel 2 XL, and that was identical to the Pixel 2. But having said that, the iPhones are amazing at video capture. I did also test the Note 8, and both the video quality and the audio quality was good. I would say that the Note 8 4K video quality visually was not as good as the Pixel 2. So probably the Pixel 2 or 2 XL if you can use an external mic. I have heard that it can be hard on some Android phones to give priority to an externally attached microphone, whereas on the iPhone, when I plug in the SmartLav Plus, it automatically switches to that plugged in microphone. So I hope that's helped you a little bit. T5 Jerry, great to see you providing another great video and review. Keep them coming. Thank you very much. I've got plenty more planned and coming up, including, if the iPhone 10 arrives early enough, a stream on that day with my unboxing and first impressions will most definitely happen. Bosim, how are you finding the new YouTube policy with revenue from YouTube? Have you thought about branching out somewhere else? I'm fine with the new YouTube policy. If you're talking about videos being demonetized for not being advertiser friendly, I've had 2 or 3 issues in total. So it's not been too bad for me because of the type of content that I actually broadcast. You know, it's generally suitable for all audiences. So I find it absolutely fine. Nick Tech Guy, hey Dave, what do you think of the recent reports of carriers giving customers misleading delivery times? EE for many are still saying awaiting delivery date. Yeah, that's not cool. That's not cool. You need to give people a very accurate expectation of when they're going to get their device actually delivered. I've had issues with carriers before being very, very vague about when they can deliver devices. I've always stuck to actually buying devices SIM free and actually paying for it, and then you can be pretty much guaranteed the delivery date that the supplier gives you. Carphone Warehouse, quite accurate on their delivery dates. They've only ever let me down once, and that was many years ago. Or buying direct from Apple, but yeah, it's not cool at all. Rappy says, what are your thoughts on Chris Pirillo's comments on the iPhone 10? Do you think he's just grabbing attention? No, not at all. And it's very appropriate you mention Chris, because I'm going to move on to a new section of the broadcast in a short while. Chris is very accurate, because he's looking at the user experience. So not the hardware and what the processor performance is, how much RAM it is, how many megapixels the camera is. He's looking at how the software gives the user a good experience, and that's what it's all about. So I tend to agree. I tend to agree with pretty much everything that Chris says. You know, this, if you look at this on paper, the iPhone 7 Plus, or it could be an iPhone 8 Plus, or it could be an iPhone 10, or it could be an Android smartphone. Great specifications, amazing specifications. It should be so fast, but iOS 11 is not optimized correctly on it, and it gives me a really poor performance and a poor experience. And I put it down and think, I've got to start the mail app again. It's crashed 3 times in a row. You know, I want to just delete some emails or read an email, and it locks up, and I have to double tap and swipe up and get rid of the email app and then restart it. That's not a good experience. So Chris is looking for a fluid and good user experience, which is delivered by optimized software and good UX design. So I totally agree. Totally agree. We've also got a question here from David James. Did you rebuy the MacBook Pro? No, you had issues with your first one. No, I didn't rebuy the MacBook Pro. I got a refund on it. I had issues with it being repaired badly. Had a wonky screen after the repair, and had so many issues convincing them to swap it out, and in the end they wouldn't offer a swap out. So I pushed and pushed, and they said, yep, okay, replacement or refund. And I said, well, you've annoyed me, you didn't give me good customer service, so I'll have a refund, and I'm not going to re-spend that money with you. Vote with your money. I mentioned this in another video. If a company gives you bad service, why should you give them your hard-earned money? You know, I know that's not always possible, but if it gets to a point of no return, then give your money to a company that at least gives you something back. Bosim, are you getting the Xbox One X? No, I'm not getting the Xbox One X. I don't have enough time to really game to justify it, really. Best test times, videos, tech and more. Are you an iOS beta tester for testing the latest version of iOS before the official release? Yes, I am. I do have my own developer account and my own Geekanoids app in the App Store. Abhilesh Gokale, is there an issue with iPhone 10 Face ID if your face is wet? No, that shouldn't affect it at all, as far as I know. So anyway, we're going to try this new section to the broadcasts. I have been asked many times who I actually watch on YouTube, and I mentioned this was very appropriate that somebody mentioned Chris Pirillo, purely because I watch very few tech channels on YouTube. My primary interest outside of technology is watches, timepieces, traditional watches, and I just find them fascinating. So when it comes to tech YouTubers and catching up with the latest tech news, there are only a few that I actually watch, and I will be mentioning these in some of my broadcasts in the future. I'm not going to mention them all today. I'm just going to highlight one for you today, and that is Chris Pirillo, who you can see on your screen now. And the reason I like Chris is because he tells it how it is. If he's having a bad experience with the product, he will tell you. And I really found it interesting that somebody asked about him in this broadcast, because he does speak a lot of sense. He's got a great knowledge base, and what matters is user experience. The hardware should melt away. It really should melt away, and you should be left with the user experience and the software design giving you the best performance of the device that you're using. And Chris highlights this time and time and time again. A great selection of subject matter. He's also got other channels as well, and just a great, genuine guy with a wealth of knowledge about technology and software. And I just love his opinion. I really do. I think it's a very, very valuable type of content that Chris shares. So if you want to check out Chris, there is a link to his channel down in the video description, so please do check him out. So that is it for the highlight on one of the creators that I watch on YouTube. And as I mentioned before, I will mention more creators that I watch on a regular basis, not ones that I just watch the occasional video, but ones that I really make sure I don't miss any of their videos. I will highlight some other YouTube content creators in future broadcasts as well. If you find that useful, let me know in the comment section below if you find that useful information. So we've also got some more questions coming in and some suggestions. One from Nanim Sri Harsha Sharma. Review Spigen cases for the iPhone 7 Plus. I think I've already got one on the channel there. If you search on YouTube Spigen iPhone 7 and then Geekanoids, it should come up. I'm pretty sure I did a video with their best selection of cases. Power8X, how is the F-Secure Sense doing? Yeah, I actually featured this in a previous live broadcast, and the F-Secure Sense is going very well indeed. Really thoroughly enjoying it. It's sort of one of those. It's a good example actually. I mentioned when I was showing you a little bit of Chris's video there about how Chris talks about the software experience and about how the technology should sort of become invisible and just allow you to get on with what you're doing, the task at hand. The F-Secure Sense is such a device. It's sort of invisible in the way you're using it, but it's giving you that peace of mind that you've got some security between yourself, the smart devices you're using, and the outside world. So it's a very good example of what we were talking about a short while ago. We've got lots more joining in on the broadcast. Hello to Techzilla, Uncle Mikey, and also Raymond Moore. Thanks for tuning in. We've also got a question here from David Weston. The chip in the iPhone 10 is more powerful than the 13-inch MacBook Pro. Okay, would you use the 10 as an alternative, utilising Apple TV so that it can become your monitor? So you're sort of suggesting a sort of screen share experience between the iPhone 10 and a larger screen, or indeed like Samsung do with their DeX station, where you can dock their smartphone and get a desktop experience from the smartphone, and sort of like the Huawei Mate 10 and Mate 10 Pro, where you can connect it with a cable into a monitor and again get a desktop experience. If the app selection was there, which I think it almost is on iOS, and if the performance was there, then I would consider it. But, and I say it's a big but, I have an iPad Pro here, and this was meant to have a really good files app, and I tried to edit a video on here, and it was really hard to get the files off of my Panasonic GH5 and actually edit them on here, even though it's a very powerful device. So they would have to give us more file format support, so different file formats, different video support for that to actually work. But as you said, if the power was there and they integrated it and gave us a really good experience on the bigger screen, then sure, why not? One less device for me to buy, one less device for me to charge, and I can just do everything on the iPhone 10. Then I would do it, but it would have to be a very seamless, smooth and powerful experience. Great question though, David. Really good question. Techzilla, how are you liking iOS 11 so far? I don't even think I can say it. I have mentioned this in previous live broadcasts. Admittedly, you might not have seen them. It's not good. It's not a good experience. On an iPhone 6, 6S or 6S Plus, really poor. On my iPhone 7 Plus, so many problems. It's very frustrating. The mainstream sort of devices work okay, but things like mail and control center, watching videos back, YouTube crashing, mail crashing, rotation bugs, it's just not good. It's not good, and it's not that fast either. And as Power Rate X says, the Huawei solution with the Mate 10 and Mate 10 Pro is much better. No DeX station needed. That's right, you just do it with a cable from the Mate 10 and Mate 10 Pro. David James, have you ever thought about using the iMac or using an iMac? The 5K iMac seems great. I'm waiting for a redesign before upgrading from my 2012 iMac. David, that is a very good question. Let me just check my calendar over there. Tune in to, or check your subscription boxes, but if you're not getting them through on subscription, make sure you tune in to the Geekanoids channel on the 5th of November. So that's this coming Sunday, and that will answer your question. I've got a new editing room tour coming up, and all your questions will be answered in that very video. This is Editing Room Tour 2017 version 2. I'm really excited for that video coming up this Sunday. Darren Gator, I've always wondered how many cameras do you have and which one is your go-to one? That is a really good question, because I get through a lot of cameras. A lot of cameras come into the studio, they get reviewed, they get tested for a couple of weeks, then they go out. Some of them are on loan, some of them I purchase and then sell on. Some of them I purchase when I've already got a buyer to actually buy said product. And I've tested so many. Even this year I've had the little Canon 200D, or SL2, which was a great camera. And the ones that have stuck, so the ones I've actually got in my arsenal of kit at the moment, are the new Sony AX53, courtesy of Clifton Cameras, currently doing this live broadcast. I've also got, just over there, my Panasonic GH5, which, believe it or not, is not my main camera. It's sort of my backup camera. And the reason it's my backup camera is because I rely on autofocus. I'm not behind the camera, I'm in front of the lens doing presenting, so I can't tweak the focus when I want to show something further away or closer to the lens, and the autofocus isn't great on it. I like to concentrate on what I'm talking about rather than the controls of the camera while I'm recording. So the camera that I often go to for my videos is my Panasonic G85 or G80. That's a great camera. Still delivers almost the same video quality as the GH5, but the autofocus is a lot more reliable. And then I've got something like the GoPro Hero 5 Black Edition, which I use on occasion as well. Also got the GoPro Hero Session for HD videos. Reason I like this is when I get in my car, I can just sort of wedge that in the headrest. Don't even need to put it in a mount. It's all about finding the tools that are right for you. So those cameras that I've just listed off aren't necessarily the best, but they're certainly the ones that work well during my workflow. So we're going to take a couple more questions. Let's have a look. Nick the Tech Guy, any advice for those trying to start up their YouTube channel, Dave? What is the best way to be successful? I think success is a very hard word to quantify. As long as you're happy in what you're doing, then you know, that is success in itself. You know, as long as you achieve the goals that you set for yourself, then that's your own personal success. For me, my success for me is being able to have the freedom and the control of actually running my own business and being able to provide for my family and enjoying what I do. If I didn't enjoy technology or making videos, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. The reason I stopped doing graphic design all those years back, and the reason I stopped working as an IBM engineer all those years back, was because I stopped enjoying doing that work. The repetitive nature of it I did not enjoy, so I changed. I made that change. I think advice for you setting up a YouTube channel is to be yourself. You can't put on an act. I see so many people doing this. They talk differently in their videos than they do in real life, and you just cannot do that. You might be able to keep that up for a month or 2 months, but then you will change, your content will change. You cannot keep up that act unless you're doing something that is purely entertainment based, and you're doing sort of like short films where you're going to be playing a character. Then of course acting is very important. But if you're doing presenting videos or talking about something that you're passionate about, then let your passion come through. To be more successful or maybe gain more popularity on YouTube, you have to do something that's unique, and often what is unique is what's unique about the person in front of the camera. So it's a really difficult subject matter. So, but I would say if you're considering doing it, just try it and be yourself. Be yourself. That is the main thing I would say to you. David Weston, we'll take 2 more questions. David Weston is the next question. Thanks for your earlier reply. Do you think the poor sales of the iPhone 8 are due to people waiting for the 10, or do you think people are starting to see through Apple's hype and overpricing? I think the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus sales were absolutely fine. Indeed, it's been a very popular seller, and the previous generation as well. I think some people were waiting for the iPhone 10. I think sales will have gone down overall, but I don't think they're as bad as some websites are reporting. And don't forget, it's the websites that are reporting it at the moment, not Apple themselves. And another question here. The unexpected. Can you configure the Roku Streaming Stick to use Amazon Prime Video service? And does the device support other Android apps like the Amazon Fire Stick? There are other apps you can install on the Roku, the ones out of the box, or at least you used to be able to. I didn't experiment with it at the moment, but it does support Amazon Video. The little icon is just down there. So these are the main services that it actually supports, including Amazon Video and Amazon Prime Video as well, which I'm a proud user of. It's been a really good value for me. When they first announced Amazon Prime Video and bundled it into the Prime delivery service, I was really against it, and now I use it all the time. I really do. So I've sort of become a sort of really big fan of it and really come to love it a great deal. So anyway, that is it for this broadcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm just going to close out this video just by recapping how I started the video. Let's get these prepared again. I gave you a very early look. This is for all the people that didn't tune in when the broadcast first started. Are you ready for this? iPhone 10 vision is back again on the Geekanoids channel. This is how your iPhone 10 will look. And that's all I'm going to say, apart from thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you all, even though I'm joking about the iPhone 10, I hope you all enjoy your iPhone 10 if you've ordered one and you get it delivered this Friday or over the next few weeks. And please do keep watching. I've got some amazing videos and broadcasts lined up for you. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time.